La guerra se aproxima.
Debe ser obra de Sauron.
Hello, Cynthia Lloyd. It's a really pleasure to have you to the audience in Colombia and Latin America.
Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Okay, congratulations for the series. And the first thing I would like to know is about the time that passed between one season and another, and how an actor works to take on a character to continue that journey. And in your case with the Queen, and with Elendil, and also because we grow as human beings at the same time with the character.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for us, for the totality of what we've filmed so far between seasons 1 and 2, it's been about 4 years.
Oh my God.
So it's been a long journey, and we've really had time with these characters. We've had time with one another.
Yeah, I was 14 years old when I started.
Well, Tyra was.
Okay.
And so, over time, you're right that, in that pause, you want to feel like you still can hold on to your character, but you do have to return to yourself. And in that time, you change, and you also are going to portray a character that has some change. For us specifically, when we finished filming the first season, we had a pretty long break. And then when we presented season 1 to the world and released it, we were very soon after going back to filming the start of season 2. So for me personally, I had some time to sort of go home and process what I'd just done. We filmed, and then we had this time away. And I think that in our story between season 1 and 2, there hasn't been that much time that has passed in the story. So the end of season 1, where my characters left off, Miriel, she's lost her father, she's lost her vision, she's lost a battle. And right when we begin into season 2, we're at the funeral for the king. So there hasn't been a lot in terms of the passage of time, but it's almost like a lifetime of events have happened to these characters in a very, very short period. So, the world is ever changing in real life. It is something that I often try to tap into and feel like, okay, my mind is thinking about all these things happening in real life. And then when I go to this character, this is where I can think those thoughts and feel those feelings. So, I try to put a little bit of myself and what I'm really kind of navigating toward the character. And hopefully there is a sense of progression and growth. And, you're right, the character's changing, you're changing as well.
And you, Lloyd?
Yeah, it's interesting because the time element is a very interesting question as part of this, because Numenorians live till the 300s, 340 years old. So, but I read in one I think of the Lost Road, one of the Christopher Tolkien released books was that they look great until just the last few months before they die, and then they just look normal. That's not going to happen on this job if we get to season 6 or 7. So the only thing I can say is that Elendil will look older because of the things that happen to him in life. I think he'll definitely take that on. But it's a good question about that time difference. And I find that whichever project I'm working on, as long as I live with that character, then my day-to-day is informed. There are certain things that will happen that I can, that you just quietly put through the lens of that character, as opposed to the lens of Lloyd, or alongside and think what, how would I react to that? Or that's something that Elendil would have to deal with in a different way. So that's always an interesting part until you put it away. And on this case, it's ongoing for a long period. So yeah, he lives in me quietly in between times, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I've never done a second season of a show before, so that for me, being able to sit with the character and finish season 1 and then wait and start season 2 was a real sort of gift, because you're able to think, you're able to the character soaks into you, for lack of a better word, and I think the characters also grow. The experiences in season 1 would influence them in season 2. So you kind of grow as a human, and it sort of helps. So it kind of aids it.
We're very lucky to know that there's something. As an actor with any job, it's always nice to know there's something coming, particularly with something you've already worked on, and which is going to be, in many ways, so exciting as season 2 is. And so it gives you time for preparation and to discuss ideas about where it might be headed. You know, it's very exciting.
This series has several parallel stories: the Numenors, the Elves, the Dwarves, the Harfoots. What other story different than yours have you enjoyed since the first season?
I've really loved the relationship between Durin and Elrond. There's something really moving about that relationship, and that feels authentic to things that we navigate with real people in our lives, our friendships, and how sometimes we're apart from friends, or we have misunderstandings and think that, you know, why haven't you called? Why haven't you written? And then sometimes you just, you know, see someone in your life and it's like nothing has changed, and yet everything has changed. So there was always something that it had, you know, all of the different levels of like anger, but love, humor, and felt really sort of authentic to me, the way real friendships are. Friendships are very complicated, especially when they're almost like your family. So that one, whenever they would come on and banter, it just always made me, it felt very, very real to me.
Yes, and I think it's interesting that Elrond is a consistent character, because I really enjoy Elrond and Galadriel, because I feel a brother and sister vibe about them. I have a sister, so I know what that's like. And who's in a position of power again, or who's at the top of the hierarchy, and they're quite evenly balanced on some level. But you can feel the love between them, but the huge difficulty that undergirds all of that, and that's really interesting for me to watch. And the levels of disappointment, particularly in Elrond over Galadriel, and her steadfastness, but underneath that, trying to forgive, have compassion, and show her where she's potentially mistaken. It's a delicate balance for him to hit. So I enjoyed that relationship.
So many of them. But the thing is that when we see it for the first time, because the kind of misconception is on shows like this, they're so big, you don't really know what all your friends are doing. You don't see their storylines. So when you watch it, you're just loving everything, because you're seeing what everybody's been doing for the last year and a half. So it's very difficult to be specific about storylines, because you're just in awe of the whole thing when you watch it. So it's hard to pick one out.
I do love the dwarves, though. I think there's something so sort of funny and familial about them that it just really engrosses me. And I also just think Owain and Sophia are fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and I will hope that the people in Colombia and Latin America enjoyed the second season.
Us too, thank you.
Thank you so
Hope so.
much.